News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Wednesday on Wall Street, where cooler than forecast February inflation data pushed stocks higher, led by tech megacaps after 2 days of heavy losses. Of course, we'll tell you all about it in just a minute. But first, we check the closing numbers for you each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 27 points. NASDAQ gained 212 points. The Dow lost 83 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.31% and the 2-year yield at 3.99%. The Federal Trade Commission is moving forward with an antitrust probe of Microsoft that began near the end of the Biden administration, signaling that Donald Trump's new FTC chair, Andrew Ferguson, is going to prioritize scrutiny of tech giants. Bloomberg's Sarah Fryer says moving forward, Ferguson may focus on the free speech argument.
Are big tech companies censoring conservative ideas? Are they, having too much power over the global conversation? And we've seen the companies make a lot of policy changes just in response to that pressure. No FTC investigation needed.
The agency is scrutinizing Microsoft's decision to slash funding on its own AI projects after striking a deal with OpenAI that could be perceived as hurting competition in the burgeoning AI market. Now, part of what pushed stocks higher, a cooler than expected reading on inflation. Consumer prices rose just 0.2% in February. Economists were looking for 0.3. Bloomberg opinion columnist Mohamed El-Arian says it is not clear this will last, especially with tariffs in effect.
We don't know what the pass-through of expected and actual tariffs will be. So that's where the economists are. For those in the market, having been disappointed on the Trump put, this is better news on the Fed put. And I think that's why you're getting such a strong reaction on the equity side.
Economist Mohamed El-Arian was a guest on Bloomberg Surveillance, and traders are now adding to bets that the Fed will cut rates 2 more times this year. Okay, so let's talk about those tariffs. The European Union has launched countermeasures against new U.S. metals tariffs, and Trump says he will respond to this.
Of course I'm going to respond. Look, the EU was set up in order to take advantage of the United States.
The EU's countermeasures are in response to the Trump administration's imposition of 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Trump says the U.S. was stupid when it came to Ireland as he brought up concerns about imbalances in global trade during his meeting with Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin.
We do have a massive deficit with Ireland because Ireland was very smart. They took our pharmaceutical companies away from presidents that didn't know what they were doing.
President Trump said that if he had been in office when Ireland began to use its tax policies to draw multinational corporations like pharmaceutical companies, that he would have put a stop to it by invoking 200% tariffs. Martin's visit comes as Trump targets long-standing U.S. partners with tariffs, including Canada, which has announced 25% counter tariffs on U.S.-made items in response to the Trump administration's global levies on steel and aluminum imports. Canada Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc.
Today, I am announcing that the Government of Canada, following a dollar-for-dollar approach, will be imposing, as of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, March 13th, 2025, 25% reciprocal tariffs on an additional $29.8 billion of imports from the United States.
The retaliatory measures will target U.S. steel and aluminum products as well as consumer items starting tomorrow. Turning now to the war in Ukraine, President Trump says a delegation is heading to Russia with the purpose of hopefully getting Russia to agree to the ceasefire in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin is likely to try to delay any agreement to secure the most favorable terms for Moscow. Bloomberg's Oliver Crook.
We've heard a number of things from the Russians. They have said a number of things that are basically non-starters. They want to take basically all of the eastern regions of Ukraine. So that's Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. These are not even territories that they fully occupy right now. So this would mean even further concessions.
And Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says partners will need to help monitor any ceasefire if Russia eventually comes on board. The head of the Environmental Protection Agency announced a series of actions to help roll back landmark environmental regulations. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin says he will eliminate trillions of dollars in regulatory costs and what he calls hidden taxes. The EPA is also revising mandates curbing greenhouse gas pollution from power plants and may prolong the lifespan of some coal plants. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.